Illinois men's basketball player takes home the weekly award, and one basketball team is ranked in the top 25, and one surprisingly isn't. Let's talk about it. Locked On Illini, let's go.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Illini. My name is Sunny Verma. You can find me at IlliniCast or at the Sunny V or all your favorite social medias. Do a quick search for Locked On Illini. If you'd like to support their show, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I want to take a minute and thank you all. We've reached 1,500 for this channel now. I'm humbled. Thank you all for your support. We're barely 6 months into this channel, and the fact that we're already at this number shows just how much support and momentum and passion that this Illini fan base have. Thank you as always for making us your first listen every single day. Simple reminder, you can find us on your favorite audio platforms or right here on YouTube, Locked On Illini. Today, we're going to discuss, there's a lot of news in Illini Nation. The weekly awards came out, the new rankings for week 2 came out. But while yesterday's episode was about Will Riley, I wanted to give the other freshman, Kasparas Jakucionis, a little love and talk about a facet of his game that I don't think people are paying close enough attention to, but I think that's going to be extremely important if Illinois plans to play well into March. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So I'm going to get into this a little bit more in the second segment, but Will Riley was named the Big Ten Freshman of the Week for week 1 of college basketball, and well-deserved. He averaged 22.5 points. Obviously, he had 31 points in his first game as a college basketball player. But if it hadn't gone to Will Riley, I genuinely think it might have gone his teammate, Kasparas Jakucionis. Will Riley averaged 22.5 points per game and 7 rebounds, but Kasparas displayed more of an all-around game in the sense where he averaged 11.5 points per game, 10 assists per game, and 6.5 rebounds per game. Now, I'm not saying Kasparas has had a flawless debut in the college basketball level. There's certainly one thing that a stat, I guess you can say, that jumps out at me on the negative side, which I think that Kasparas is going to have to work out on over the next couple of weeks. And I mentioned this during the postgame against SIUE, which, by the way, this channel, we go live after every game. That's basketball and football, and I'm even going to try to do this for women's basketball in the future. So again, if that's the kind of content you want, if you haven't subscribed already, please show me your support and hit that subscribe button. But in the first 2 games, Kasparas has only shot the ball 7 times. For a guy who's supposed to be your best player, you kind of want a guy to be a little bit more aggressive on the shooting front. He passed a couple wide open threes in the corner, which, I understand some of his reasoning. He seems to be enjoying the process of just setting the table for his teammates. And the play in particular I'm thinking about, he passed up the wide open 3, attacked the rim, and I believe he gave it to Visic or Trey White for an easy layup. It's fine against teams like we're playing right now, Eastern Illinois, SIUE, teams that really the games aren't going to be all that close anyway. But at some point, Kasparas is going to have to display his dominant skill set. And again, he's doing it in every other facet. But as promised, this segment here is not going to be about the negative portion. Again, I think he realizes that eventually he's going to have to shoot more. I think right now it's just a simple matter of he's trying to build a confidence in his team. He sees how well everyone's playing. I mean, we've scored 90 points in each of the first 2 games. So he's just letting the game come to him when it comes to scoring-wise. I don't think it's going to take too much longer for Kasparas to hit that 20-point benchmark. What stood out to me, actually, for the first 2 games of Kasparas' career is something which I was actually quite worried about when I was trying to scout what our team was going to look like this season. And that's his ability to get fouled and go to the free throw line. In game 1 against Eastern Illinois, Kasparas had 11 points, and that's only off of 4 shots. And how is that? He went 4 for 6 from the free throw line. And game 2 was even more impressive. On Friday night, he had 12 points on only 3 shots. In fact, he was only 1 for 3, and he ended up at 12 points. How was that? Well, Kasparas also went 9 of 10 from the free throw line. Terrence Shannon Jr.'s ability last year to get to the free throw line and get other teams in foul trouble was one of the big reasons our offense was as efficient as it was. This year's team obviously plays an entirely different style of basketball. There's no real booty ball. Now it's more fast pace. You grab the rebound. Let's try to score in 15 seconds or so. Just keep putting the pressure on the defense. But most of the time, I think when you surround yourself or you put together a roster that can all shoot, that should fare pretty well. But on some cases and on some nights, that may not fare well. So where are you going to get points? If this Illinois basketball team goes 4 or 5 minutes without being able to hit a bucket, sometimes you need a guy who can just kind of put his head down, attack the rim, and get foul called on the opponent, and kind of reverse a little bit of that momentum. Scoring is not easy in this league. In particular, it's not easy in the Big Ten. And so when you have a guy who doesn't need to shoot 15 times to get 16 points, like, let's be honest, some of our other scorers on this team may seem like that they're more of the volume shooter variety. Obviously, talking about a guy like Will Riley. Kasparas doesn't seem like he needs to do that, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to need his offensive ability here and there. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to try to temper my enthusiasm for Kasparas, especially earlier on in the year, because I do think at some point some kind of freshman wall is something that he's going to inevitably hit. And let's be honest, a lot of Illini fans, a lot of Illini content creators, college basketball journalists out there are already giving the love to Kasparas. And again, it's all well-deserved. Just because I might not be as outspoken about how much I appreciate his abilities does not mean I don't appreciate his abilities. In fact, I feel like I'm just trying to hold myself in check and not get too excited. Having a guy at 18 years old who, quite honestly, it's very possible this year that he averages something close to a triple-double. You're talking about something 13, 14 points per game, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds. 14, 7, and 6 after the first 2 games seems like that could be a plausible line for someone like Kasparas. But it's not even that. It's not just the stats. He is the engine behind this offense. He is the guy who makes everything work. Again, I call it selfless, and sometimes maybe too much selflessness when he's passing up his own open shots and getting other teammates involved. But it takes a special kind of basketball IQ to know that, there's other ways to contribute on the offensive end. And in particular, drawing fouls on the opponent. That's something that's, it's talked about in coaching in the high school levels here. But analytically, that's one of the key ways to become even more efficient as a basketball player. Again, you score in two different ways, essentially, right? It's a positive because you're scoring points, especially if you're a good free throw shooter. But you're also getting the other team in foul trouble, both the individual player and also you add a team foul to that team in that particular half. Right now, I'm not sure who the other guys are that are going to be able to draw these fouls. Avicic has had a good start. He was 4 for 5 in one game and 7 for 9 in a different game. And again, that's just kind of what you want. As fun as it is to watch this Illini basketball team play offense right now, the shots aren't always going to drop. And you need to find other ways to manufacture a score. When a team shoots as well and often as we do, not making a basket for 3 or 4 minutes can seem like you haven't made a basket for 5 or 6 minutes if you're playing in a normal style pace. So the fact that you can kind of slow the game down, have everyone breathe, and still get points, I think is going to be one of the keys for Illinois to try to maintain its status as being one of the most efficient offenses in the country this year. I believe we're in the top 20 so far, 2 games. And obviously the season is very, very young, but you're kind of getting a glimpse of what this offense is going to look like. And the answer, honestly, is great. And a lot of that has to do with Kasparas Jakucionis. Locked On Illini fans, listen up. You need to download the Roy app. You have heard us talk about Roy this season and how they are revolutionizing the NIL industry. Roy allows you, the fan, to have a say in who gets the NIL money. And here's what I absolutely love about Roy. You get your money back if that player transfers. Roy is helping us keep our team intact, and it's actually good for the game long term. Me personally, I've decided to give my donation this week to Dylan Rosiak, a guy who, obviously, unfortunately, is going to be injured for the rest of the season, one of our star linebackers. But I just wanted to kind of cheer him up a little bit, and hopefully this donation will bring a smile to his face. You can show your support for Dylan or whomever else by depositing a little appreciation onto that player's account. To do that, download the Roy app. You can see what the logo looks like if you're watching on YouTube, or go to joinroy.com. Now, let's spotlight the Roy Locked On Player of the Week, Dylan Rosiak. We're going to throw some money into his account on Roy. Every contribution counts, 10, 20 bucks. It all adds up, and it's going to help your favorite player stay put. Join me and show some love for Dylan. Download the Roy app or go to joinroy.com today. Use promo code LOCKEDON. Every athlete from every team is there. No purchase necessary, void where prohibited. Go to joinroy.com for full terms. Support the players. Change the game. Illinois will be playing their next basketball game on Wednesday night, I believe, against Oakland. And if you'd like to join me for the postgame show, there's one way to do it. Join the new Locked On Illini Discord. That's going to be in the description here. Basically, let me know if you'd like to be interested. I want to bring on a guest after every single game this year. You don't have to show your face. It could be sports radio style where we just talk audio, but it's a way for you guys to get involved, especially if you guys are watching the game anyway and you just want to vent a little bit or celebrate a little bit. Tell me what things you liked on the basketball court and some things that you didn't like, but there's only one way to do it. Again, it's a brand new Discord community. I'm still working out on the kinks of Discord, so if you are a professional in any sort of way and you want to join the Locked On Illini team and take over, let me know. I would love that opportunity, but that's definitely the quickest way. Please join regardless, even if you don't want to come on the show. It's where we have conversations daily. I can tell you about upcoming guests, and you can kind of let me know what kind of questions you might have for said guest. So definitely join our Discord. The link will be in the description. So on Monday, we had various weekly awards for the Illini announced. I already mentioned Will Riley, averaging 22.5 points and 7 rebounds per game. Will was named the Big Ten Freshman of the Week, a week that honestly had quite a few different contenders, so it was an impressive victory for Will. And quite honestly, Freshman of the Week, every week during the Big Ten season is going to be a battle. There's just a lot of good young talent in this conference. And as I mentioned, even on Will's own basketball team. It's unfortunate that Tomislav is considered a sophomore. Otherwise, he would be a contender for some of these awards as well. But speaking of the men's team, shockingly, at least to me, the Illinois men's basketball team was not ranked in the new AP Top 25. In fact, they barely moved. In the opening rankings, they were 26th, receiving the most outside votes for any team not in the top 25. And basically the same thing has happened this week. How? I don't know. We played both the same common opponents that Indiana played, and I believe we outscored our opponents by 77, and Indiana outscored them by 54. That's roughly the numbers. Again, if a team in the ranked number 26 wins both their games pretty handedly, pretty convincingly, you're telling me there's not one spot that the team could have jumped? I fully expected Illinois to be maybe in the 23 range, the 22 range. There's several teams in the bottom teens or upper 20s that barely survived a couple of their early games. And so I just imagine some of them would have dropped, but apparently not. But on the good news side, the women's basketball team is now ranked in the top 23. They haven't been since early last year. They were ranked at the beginning of the season last year, but with two very impressive wins, one over Florida State, who I believe was ranked number 19 at the time, and just over the weekend against Marquette, a team that looks like it's going to have a struggle this season. But anytime you have a chance to get a Power 4 victory, especially in women's basketball, especially if you're the Illini women's basketball program, a program that really doesn't have a history of racking up these P4 type of wins, you take it. It's just another sign, and I know I keep repeating myself, that Shauna Green has this program with insane positive momentum. Arguably, the trajectory of the women's basketball team is the highest of any program for this university, and that says a lot, because we have a football team that's going to go bowling. We have a basketball team that we're all hoping for another Elite Eight run this year. But Shauna Green, the way she's recruiting as of late, and I'm talking about, again, multiple 4 stars, bringing in 5 stars in consecutive years, I really, really think that even if you haven't watched any Illini women's basketball previous to this, give them a shot. We've got a really hardworking team, a really well-built roster, and a future superstar. Not even a future superstar. She's a current superstar in Shauna Green when it comes to the women's coaching ranks. Speaking of football, this isn't exactly an award, but I happened to see who we were projected to play as of this week, and the bowl game it's actually Alabama. Can you imagine that? I read another article where Illinois was projected to play Georgia in a bowl game. So, I mean, we're at this point, like, I get it. We're struggling a little bit. We've lost 2 games in a row, and I'm going to have my preview out for the Michigan State game, which I'll be recording very shortly. I know we've lost some of that momentum from that 6-1 start, but just imagine if we can just continue to play hard, play tough, and if Brett Bielema can just get us over this last hump of our traditional November swoon, we have the opportunity to play a team like Alabama or Georgia in a bowl game, and maybe even sometime in January. And just, I understand 6-1, and if we end up the season with 8 or 9 wins, some of you might be a little disappointed. But if you told any of us before the season started that ultimately this season would end playing against Georgia or Alabama, 100% of us would have taken it. That's all for the awards this week. Hopefully, we're going to be able to have this as a weekly segment, especially if the basketball on both sides, the men's and women's side, continue to have the success that they've had earlier on in the season. But right after this, we're going to be talking about some former Illini, and we're going to stay up to date on how they're doing right after this. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel's America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with a $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Friendly reminder, if you haven't already, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. The March to 1600 starts. Thank you all so much for letting me reach the 1,500 benchmark early Monday morning. I figured let's have a little fun. Let's kind of catch up to see what some of the former Illini players of years past and what they're up to. Terrence Shannon Jr. finally got his first points of his NBA career. And the fun part is it happened against the Chicago Bulls. It happened on Illini night, when the Chicago Bulls basically celebrated Ayo Dosunmu and Terrence Shannon Jr. was in town. And so there was a lot of Illini presence there, in particular if you listen to the broadcast the way I did. But Terrence Shannon Jr. got his first couple baskets finally in front of the hometown crowd. Obviously, most of you guys know Terrence went to high school in Chicago, so that was a pleasant sight to see. Quincy Guerrier got Played 32 minutes and finished with 17 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists in his G League debut. Another former player from last year's team, Nico Moretti, had 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists in his first game for the Florida Atlantic Owls, and that was just in 21 minutes. Dane Danger had 6 points and 8 rebounds in his first game for Memphis against Missouri. Since here in Monty Hansberry played for West Virginia, Hansberry had 9 points and 12 rebounds in his debut. It's going to be fun all season long just to kind of keep tabs on how some of the former Illini are doing. At least for me, guys like Terrence Shannon Jr., who obviously he's done with his Illinois career. He's at the NBA level, and what that kid had to go through last year, it's just one of the most incredible performances I've seen any individual make. And I'm not even talking about a kid. I speak for any man or child. It's just what he was able to do under those circumstances. I sincerely do hope that he's able to live up to whatever potential he has at the professional level. And it was nice to be able to see him get his first couple buckets at home, essentially at home in the United Center. Thank you for making Locked On Illini your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On Big Ten podcast. Craig Shimon puts the Big Ten first when everyone else overlooks it. Find Locked On Big Ten on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you all so much. Again, later on this week, we're going to have Big Ten Ted back from the bye week. We're obviously going to be previewing the Michigan State team. Wednesday night, Illinois is going to be playing Oakland, and I believe the Illini women's basketball team also has a game on Thursday night. So again, all day, every single day, I'll be here providing you with Illini content. Make sure you support the channel, hit that subscribe button on your way out, and until then, I love you guys.